So, welcome, Savio. Welcome to my channel. This time we're talking about elections, and we all know that Goa is also up for elections. And unlike the general, usual way where BJP and Congress is Logora, this time you have new entrants too. So it's just natural to be curious about it. That what's happening in Goa, especially when the government in power has been in news for different reasons. But we'll start with you. You are a true Goan. According to you, what are the main issues that Goa is going to vote for? Is it mining? Is it corruption, for which the charges are also for the present government? Is it unemployment? Is it water issues? There's a COVID mismanagement. There's a lot of news that had come in for that matter. Or what is that Goa today is looking for in a new candidate or for the upcoming government? What is Goa going to vote for?
Well, Sujata, thank you for having me on your show. I'm humbled. The people of Goa, in a nutshell, if I had to describe it in one sentence, is looking for a future. So they are really looking. They want a future that's intrinsically good. A lot of good youngsters, the youth, are looking at getting into enterprise. They're looking at jobs, and they're looking at they want to see the socio-economic development of Goa. So this concept of people wanting to leave Goa, which is something that has been seen over the last couple of years because of lack of opportunities within the state itself, is what they want to arrest. There are people from other parts of the country coming to Goa to live and create enterprise, sort of have a living in Goa. Then why should the Goans themselves move outside of Goa? So one of the prerequisites of the people in Goa, especially the youth and women folk in Goa, is to make Goa into a socio-economic hub. So activities that are on par with other states and other cities, in terms of salary parameters, probable, potential for enterprise. That's really what they're looking at. So they want to see Goa as a vibrant economy. They want to see the socio-demographics of Goa not be convoluted as in certain other aspects outside of Goa. So because the communal harmony in Goa is something that's very intrinsic to Goa. Hindus, Muslims, Christians live like Goans more than any other aspect of it. So I think what they want taken forward, and this is what I believe based on my interactions with so many of them, is that they want the legacy, the vision of Manoj Parrikar that he had when that he bought in 2012, to be further taken and to be further modified to fit the intentions and the aspirations of the people of Goa. They're looking at infrastructure development. Nobody's against infrastructure development, but they want it done in such a manner that the ecological aspects of Goa itself does not get diluted. So it's let's put it in a nutshell. You have about 40 lakh population in Goa, and that's really the crust of Goa. And you have a considerable amount of Goans living outside of Goa. But when you look at a huge influx of tourist population, where people are looking at getting 30 lakh tourists into Goa, it doesn't add up to the sensibilities of the people of Goa, where they're saying we rather have quality tourism rather than tourism that's just based on numbers. So better target of tourism audience, better enterprise coming into Goa, an ability to facilitate enterprise in Goa. We're not averse to investments. They want companies to come in, but companies that fit within the sensibilities of Goa. Good startups initiative, good IT companies, good pharma companies. These are the kind of things that they want, and that's really what it's an aspirational Goa. That's what I could say.
Today, the young Goa. Last 10 years of BJP rule, that BJP has done something to resolve any of the issue or to get to where the aspiration of Goa that you put it as. Do you think this is done enough?
I think they have. You see, Sujata, I think when Mr. Parrikar was around, so we need to understand it from a continuity point of view. So when Mr. Parrikar came in 2012, there was a lot of hope from the BJP And then, of course, in the interest of the nation, he moved to the center as a defense minister. And then when in 2017 he came back, but he was not there for a long time. So while the BJP has tried its efforts to arrive at what would you call answering the aspirational aspects of the Goan, some quarters they may have failed to understand the vibe of the people on certain issues. And but that failure, if you look at it from a scale of 1 to 10, I think that failure would have marked 25 to 30% of the people. 70% of the people also have felt, okay, at least they made an attempt, and there are new developments, there are infrastructures happening, there are schemes that have come in for the startup, for the industrial sectors, whereas other aspects have been done. But could more have been done? Of course. There's certainly much more of scope left for improvement. And that is what will lead BJP forward as far as the current elections are concerned.
So, Savir,
I believe people
that
will
brings me to my next question. Sorry, I'm just cutting you off. So, if you see the last election, 2017, 7 seats had margin lesser than 1,000 votes. 12 seats, if you see, the margins were lesser than even 2,000. Okay, so now this time around, because if you see the opinion polls of different channels, however, in 2017 also all of them went wrong. The margin of error was more than 20%, which for a 40 seat of constituency of a Goa, it's like a huge margin. And I wouldn't consider it as a right opinion poll, but still the margin, seeing the thin margins and the kind of predictions that are coming in this time as well, where it may also be a very, very tight fight between BJP and the Congress, and the margins also could be same as 2017. Now, what has BJP done on the ground with the cadre so that to ensure that this doesn't, the 2017 doesn't repeat?
One of the I'm not privy to the strategies across constituencies because I recently joined them, and I was then asked to concentrate on the Whalen constituency, which is where my focus has been. But being an analyst of the political situation in Goa for an extremely long time, I can tell you that any election that is fought in Goa, whether it was in 2012, 2017, 2007, also when they fought, Goa seats are very closely contested seats. So the margin of victory is always, on an average, is between 1,000 to 2,000 votes at most elections. There are, of course, certain candidates that win by 4,000, 5,000 votes. And that's
no, Savio, there were a few seats which were like 33 votes, 50 votes.
Yes.
So it was that close.
But when you mean few seats,
so they were,
when I said an average of 1,000 or 2,000 votes, I'm talking about all 40 constituency. Of course, there'll be a seat, I can tell you, where somebody's won by 30, you're right, 33 votes in one of the constituencies in 2017.
Yeah.
Right? So the average is that the fight, whichever way, the point I'm trying to make is that the fight at any cost is a very closely knit fight. It shifts anywhere. You can actually shift the election by even 2 votes. I remember in one such case in 2017, it was after the recounting that the candidate from the Congress, I think, came back into winning at that point of time, because it was the BJP candidate that got about 20 votes more than him. And then they did a recounting and the Congress candidate came back. So it's very tightly fought across. It's not something unusual to Goa. It's something that has always been there. It's always going to be a close fight. For example, let's say 2022 right now, right? So let's take a constituency like Margao. Okay, Margao always has Digambar Kamath winning by 4,000 votes. If you look at the data over the last couple of years. Today, with the AAP and the Trinamool Congress also looking at contesting the same area, the probability of Digambar Kamath's vote share coming down is far higher. So he might not win by 4,000 votes. He could win by probably 1,000 votes, or he could not win also. You never know. So it's that close a fight. So when somebody tells me, is BJP going to win win the elections purely based on the fact that they have delivered on certain aspects of constituencies that they are strong in, number one. There are certain constituencies that they have been working with where they have not been successful the last time. They've improved it a little bit this time. So the element of them, if you look at the vote share, it's between 32 to 38%. 32 to 38% is the kind of vote share that BJP will end up with. Okay. In that vote share itself, you must understand that there will be 62 odd that will not be with the BJP. That 62% of vote will be fragmented between the other political parties. And the ones that have the higher majority of the vote share and the numbers of the votes wins the election. So right now, BJP is somewhere around 18 to 22 as per most of the polls, and that's exactly where we'll get at. So when you're at 18, it's still going to be the single largest party, right? And that's where people need to understand that it's everybody is fighting the elections or based on their blank, but the ones that can consolidate the votes wins this election. And that's where the strategy is. The strategy is to consolidate the votes in certain constituencies. We need to get to 22. We will consolidate 22 seats in the manner that's required. And the 18 seats by virtue of people's own choice, because in a democratic process, people have their own choice to vote for people. We have to get to the magic number of 21, but we will touch 22 is what I see.
Okay, so we'll see whether it is the magic of the numbers for the seats or the management of the numbers, which has been the talk of the town since last two terms. So, one of the things that I really wanted to ask you. So
when you're coming back to the management, Sujata, may I please?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
The political machinations that happened in 2017, okay, that really happened because the alliance at that stage, and I know it because I was very much in the heat of it. The alliance at that stage was not very comfortable with the Congress. The alliance wanted Manohar Parrikar back, right? When Manohar Parrikar decided to come back, that is when the Goa Forward Party, Vijay Sardesai, and the MGP with Subir Dalwekar decided to align with the BJP, right? When Manohar Parrikar moved on to a different life, the alliance never remained because the respectability stayed with Mr. Manohar Parrikar. Once that was not around, the alliance did not find a connect with the BJP, which is why MGP has moved on, Goa Forward Party has moved on, right? So Mr. Parrikar at that point was the glue factor. And that is why BJP went into the machinations that were required to hold on to the government, and it worked. This time around, let's assume we come to 16 to 18 seats by some of what the starting points of the polls are. Then it will be imperative for us to ensure that any like-minded party that is around, that is probably a part of an alliance or not a part of the alliance, could be a part in which BJP ties up with. But I don't know what will happen. The most important aspect is what I'm supposed to do is focus on my constituency and work towards ensuring that I take our message forward. For me, the legacy of Mr. Parrikar is very important. BJP's legacy in Goa is been further taken forward by people like Parrikar and people like Shripad Nayak, Rajendra Alekar. These are the people who have taken it forward.
So before we move to the legacy in your constituency as well, do you really, and I want an honest answer to this, for the import policy that BJP has been, displaying in different parts of India after the elections are fought, do you really think that it is a long-term strategy? I understand, because in democracy, numbers are everything. And if you are not in power, that means you will not be able to implement the things that you'd want to implement. So for doing anything good, for betterment, whatever, you need to be in power, and power will only come when you have the numbers. And come what may, the numbers, comes to the management of the numbers. But seeing that the Kejriwal has entered Goa, TMC has entered there. You see the posters of both of them completely all over Goa. Prashant Kishore has been doing a lot of shopping for TMC. We've seen some of the people who have moved. In this the import policy, people, it's look like helicopter drops later once the people have casted their vote based on issues. I'm sure a voter, when he decides to cast a vote to party A and not party B, he is aligned with that issue. Now, if the party A gets someone from party C, which is neither with this party or that party, do you think it is good for BJP's reputation in the long run? Because it was promised to be a party with a difference, a party which will work for the betterment of the country, someone which is free of corruption. But when it comes to state levels, the party with the difference suddenly becomes like party with different ideologies, trying to, using fevicols and whatnot to stick it together.
Well, Sujata, let's give you a classic example.
I don't want the BJP leader Savio's answer.
No. I only speak mostly like Savio, and Savio speaks the truth irrespective whether he was a journalist or a BJP leader. Okay. So that's why I'm coming back to the incident that happened in Goa itself. The induction of the Congress MLAs. In my opinion, I am okay with MLAs being inducted. Firstly, I didn't agree with the defection. Number one, I don't agree with the fact that you voted on one party and then you come into another party. Right. Okay, I don't agree with that. I can understand it as political machination from a political point of view. What I didn't agree with was the induction of Babush Montserrat. Okay. And it's something I made my voice very clear about. That Babush Montserrat is somebody who is a winnable candidate. I'm not doubting that at all. He does have influence on certain political constituencies in Goa. That is also a fact. But what is also a fact is that he's been charge sheeted with accusations of raping a minor. Yeah, it's just a charge sheet. It's not just a mere accusation. So there is a process of law that needs to be completed. In that context, I don't agree that we should have taken Babush Montserrat as part of the BJP at that point of time, and I disagree with it even now. I am not saying that Utpal Parikar should get a ticket or Siddharth should get a ticket. That's not for me to decide. What for me to stand up is whether it's right or wrong. And I don't think the induction of Babush Montserrat was right from a moral point of view. Number one. Now let's look at somebody like Jyoti Aditya Scindia, who's a very strong leader of the Congress party and somebody whose family has been with a part of the Congress party for a very long time. Now, somebody like him coming into the BJP, and I've interacted with him at one of the conferences that the ITV network had, and I've seen him speak. Now, somebody of that intellectual capacity, somebody of that political experience, when he comes into the BJP, adds value. So anything adding value into the political party, from a nationalistic point of view, I'm all right with. Okay, it's like a company CEO from, let's say there's somebody from, say, a Facebook CEO. A Facebook CEO is fed up with working with Facebook and he wants to go to Apple, just as an example. Then if he has the qualities and the traits that are required to take Apple forward in its new frontiers, then I think it's pretty fair that they do something like that. So I'm not averse to BJP taking people. I'm averse to people in BJP who are coming in who are corrupt. Like I completely disagreed with some of the people that they took in Bengal.
Oh yeah, backfired also.
And they were the ones that later left.
Backfired also.
So backfired. Right? For them, so, in my opinion, as an analyst, I will always tell the BJP what I think is right. From an analytical point of view, what I'm telling you now is not a politician. It's the analyst telling you that even in the interest of the politician, you should do the right thing. Right? So I look at people adding value to the BJP should come in. People who come in merely because they've got certain equations, political equations on the ground that is perceived to be political equations, are not necessarily the reasons why they should come in. Talented, educated, value-based people can come into the party and could definitely add value. And like I said, Jyoti Aditya Scindia is a classic example of that.
So talking of the value, the value that Manohar Parrikar created for BJP in Goa is something that we have not seen anyone coming even close to it, even after he's left the world. Now, if you observe closely the election campaigns, the manifestos, the posters, I see Manohar Parrikar's as an analyst too. I see him completely getting sidelined. I don't see leaders talking much about what he's done, what was his vision, and how the party is going to take it forward. Why is that? Like, don't you think that's a bigger mistake that BJP has done?
Not actually, Sujata, in all fairness, okay, because Mr. Parrikar has been a part of most of the talks and the discussions and the policies that the government has been making, though it might not be known publicly to people or to the media. Because I'm aware of certain people working on the new policies that the Goa government, and a lot of Mr. Parrikar's ideas are going to be implemented. Okay. Now let's take somebody like me. My political acumen, my
No,
political disposition.
I'm leaving you, Savio. You've been talking about Parikar, and I think one of the things that I was mightily impressed with you is that you probably knew the pulse of Goa better than I have to say this. I don't care, but better than the people who are sitting in politics for more number of years. Because I saw you talking about the corruption. I saw you talking about someone who's accused of raping a minor should not be included in the government, no matter what the cost is. I saw you talking about taking the legacy of Parker and giving his son a chance. Why not? When people are saying, "Oh, why should a politician's son be brought into that?" Well, give him a chance. If you can give a corrupt politician a chance, you can give that person's son a son. You never know. So not you, but I'm saying you ask anybody in Goa. I mean, I have a research team and we do analysis of what's happening from the ground. So people do feel that somewhere in the larger context, like you said, maybe internally the party's been working on his policies and his vision, but it should also be communicated outside. It's like it cannot be a girl dancing in the dark. No one know whether she was good or whether she was bad.
I agree with you, Sujata. I'm saying let me put the statement in a different way. If Manohar Parrikar is kept away from the intent of the BJP, then the BJP itself will lose, because Manohar Parrikar itself was the tallest figure that helped BJP move forward.
Yes.
So you have very good leaders within the BJP even now, like a Shripad Nayak is a very good leader. Rajendra Alekar, these are men of integrity. These are men of character. They've helped build BJP over a period of time. You will have young leaders that will come in. They will have their own assertiveness. They will have their own aggressiveness, and they'll want to create their own legacy. But the truth of the matter is, legacies are not created overnight. Legacies are created over a committed work over a period of time. And those political leaders that match up to Manohar Parrikar's legacy, and he probably would go beyond him, is only a matter of time. The thing, you see what is happening in politics, and that's probably one of the reasons why I chose to come in, is I think with an educated youth force, with women getting more empowered, and efforts are being made to empower women, we've got a thinking Indian right now. We've got a thinking voter. The voter is not going to be, at least in Goa, that voter is not going to be somebody who's going to just accept based on party lines or based on ideological lines. What they're going to look at is what is the candidate going to be able to do for them at a ground level. At a level in which that constituency exhales to the potential that it needs to exhale to. So I think the voter in Goa, if you look and you map the trend over the last 10 years plus, is a very intelligent voter. When the
Sorry, I think I lost him. Okay, I think it's been interrupted, but we'll wait for Savio to join back. Meanwhile, this was Goa when Savio has been representing a constituency called Velim. He has been brought in as a new face, and we will talk about that as well. That why does the BJP think that fresh faces are the way to go? or were they afraid that they have not done enough work at the ground, and people will not probably vote for the older candidates, the older faces? I think he's back. Yes.
No, I'm back,
Yes.
sorry.
No problem. Yeah. Yes, you were saying something. You were saying about people who talk, the intent.
You see, the intent of the people of Goa is one of somebody wanting to, have an aspirational level. So there was a time when they were upset with the Congress. They ensured Congress came to 9 seats because of the corruption. There was a time in 2017 where they felt that BJP did not really deliver when the chief minister was Parsekar. And that's when BJP came down to 13 seats. So the Goan voters are very not going to be allured by party ideologies or communal ideologies or polarization. What it's looking at is an aspirational leader, somebody who can answer to its aspirations. So that's where it will break down.
How about freebies? Arvind Kejriwal's freebie.
Well, okay, I can give you my experience. And I was walking in, I met a couple of women in my constituencies in Vellum. And there was a very enterprising lady I met, and I think I put out a tweet as well of that. So I asked her, I said, if you had the option of taking money from, say, an Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party or Trinamool Congress, would you take the money? She says, no, I'd rather earn my money. So I said, what is it that you would like? So she makes bags and, very wonderful bags, actually, these ones that you can actually sell to the Indian market. They priced about $900, nicely crocheted bags.
Oh, nice.
I'm very impressed. So she makes bags and nighties and aprons and tissue box covers. So I thought it was very good, and I picked up a few of it myself. And I'm that kind of a guy. I like entrepreneurs. I like people who work. So we like to invest, whatever little we can in those kind of people, And so when I asked her that, would you take money? She said, no. I asked a couple of other women who are not self-employed like her, would you take money? They said, no. What we want is better education for our kids. What we want is better healthcare services. So you see, Veli as a place, you need to understand the constituency that I come from, and most constituencies in Goa that are village-centric. They look for education. They look for an ability for their kids to educate well. Because past 12th standard, there's really nothing much of education there that in a village setup. You always have to come towards the city to get educated. So, education in terms of more skill-focus oriented education, skill development, new ideas like AI, robotics in school. These are the kind of things that need to be inculcated in the people in Goa. The people in Goa are also people who love to study. They're not people who, contrary to the perception that they create, that Goa is all about a party place. I think a lot of people in Goa are highly educated. If you look at the Veli constituency itself, your doctors, your lawyers, some of the good ones come from the Veli constituency. So what is Goa? Goa is exactly not the perception created about it outside of Goa. Goa has a very different mindset, a very educated, very calm, very aspirational, very promising mindset. All it requires is somebody or a party to bring that aspirational level out. Like I remember having a discussion with the tourism minister during the Congress time, Goa tourism. So I said, why would somebody in Miami want to come to Goa for tourism? At the end, Miami has better beaches in Miami. So that kind of logic doesn't work in Goa. You understand? You have to understand the psyche of the Goans. If you're going to come to them and say, we're going to put to this big, large industry in Goa, they're not going to agree to it because they don't need it. They don't want it. They're agrarian by nature. They are strength. One of the major things that Goa could actually become is a startup hub, a global startup hub. Because, and when I mean global startup hub, I'm talking about it from an incubation level. the ability to ideate in Goa because of the environment. I don't know how much people understand, but environment plays a very, very positive role towards ideation and creativity. Then Goa at an incubation level, I'm not talking about when it goes post incubation to go market strategy and you set up your large company. I'm talking about it from an incubation level. It's one of the best places to actually have a hub. So any prototype idea, any creativity, that's where Goa needs to turn. So one of the aims that I have, if I get the opportunity when I win and if I become a minister, is to be able to work within the IT segment and the tourism segment. These are the two segments that I really love. And IT segment and startup from Goa will revolutionize the rest of the country because everybody wants to come to Goa. You see, everybody wants to come to Goa because it has that blend. So this Silicon Valley concept that's so popular in the US and which people attribute to Bangalore, the incubation of that Silicon Valley is actually something that can happen out of Goa. You could actually have an incubation hub in Goa, which allows for these young people from all over the world, not only India, to come into Goa to ideate, to create, to build their prototypes, and then take it to the rest.
Well,
that's how I see it.
All right. So let's come to your constituency, the Welling constituencies. Last time when I was just checking that, so it looks like it's been a Congress bastion. The person. Yes. Last time, Welling Philip Neri Rodrigue also defeated the independent candidate Benjamin Silva by a good number of votes. Even in 2019, the Congress candidate, if I'm not, Cosmo Francisco also won with a more than a margin of 10,000 votes. Now, with this, one thing is that he also joined the last. He was in Congress and then he later on joined BJP. So not sure whether it is a BJP constituency now or is a Congress constituency because of the change of party, but it's a new challenge shown to you. So what you have for your constituency that this Congress bastion, let's say traditionally, turns into a BJP fort, and why would people listen? Because traditionally I see that this part of Goa, the BJP has more of a North Goa and Congress is more of the South Goa. How would you bring that change?
You're right when you say that the Salsette constituency, because it's really not only South Goa, but just Salsette. So the Salsette constituency is traditionally known to be a Congress bastion. There's no doubt about it, and I completely agree with you on that. That belief, however, in 2012 was defeated by the strategies of Mr. Parrikar at that point of time. If you go into the 2012 performance, you will see Willie had an independent candidate by the name of Benjamin Silva. Benjamin Silva was supported by the BJP, and because of the support by the BJP, he was able to come in to win the elections, and he was also made at that point of time. You had Avartan in Navile, which is another strong constituency, who stood as an independent and won as a BJP candidate, supported by the BJP. You had Caetano Silva in Benaulim, who was an independent and stood with BJP support. So it's not that these Congress-based bastions, which are also Christian-dominated in terms of numbers, are averse to the BJP. It's not that they are, because if they were averse to the BJP, the have lost. They did not. They did win in 2012. It was not very successful in 2017 because maybe the strategy around 2017 was not probably well prepared. Okay. And that is why BJP came down to 13 seats, right? So logically speaking, if you were to ask me, yes, it is a Christian-dominated constituency. In Veli, for example, the 73% Christian dominated and 27% Hindu dominated. I'm not going to either of them on the plank of religion because I don't believe in going to anybody on a plank of religion. I don't see religion when I'm looking at a person. So I know it's going to be a difficult task because conditioning of the mind is something that politically works for years. I'm not trying to completely uncondition your mind. I'm only giving you an option. Let's just say, listen, this is who I am. These are these are the ideas that I have that I want to implement. I come from a successful background because I'm a guy from Goa itself. A guy who started his business, the Goa Chronicle, out of Goa, and built it into a brand over the last several years, into a brand and a name that's recognized not only in Goa, India, but also internationally, right? So success stories have come out of Goa. And the success story in media is the Goa Chronicle brand and the various other business initiatives that I've had. So those ideas at a very base level, which are aspirational in level, is what I want to bring into Whaley. Now, ideally, I would have thought that, okay, let's not take Whaley. And my conscience keeper, or my measurements of doing something good or bad, is my mother. So when I was told that I was given an option to contest in Whaley, I was very petrified to ask my mother, because she would say, what are you getting into politics for? And you're doing well in media, you're doing well in business. What's the need? But when I told her that they've asked me to contest from Whaley, to my surprise, she was very happy. She was very happy, and she said, "This is the will of God, and if God has chosen you to do this work, then do it with the honesty that you always do everything." So I'm very happy for you. That is what gave me more confidence, because I was a little reluctant to say yes. I had about 24 hours to say yes. So I spoke to mom, and mommy said that, go ahead, son. I think God wants you to work for the people. So my mom comes from this belief that every person who comes to our home, who's sick, who needs financial help, who needs counseling, she's the agony aunt of the village, really, for lack of better words. She's somebody who's everybody comes to. I wouldn't want to call her agony aunt, but she's the one who's like a counselor.
We can choose a better word.
Yeah. She's the conscience keeper. She's the conscience keeper of the village from where I come from. Yeah, So people come to her. She goes to their home when their people are sick. So she's always been helpful in her own way. So she's of the opinion now that her son is going to come and help people in Whaley. She can bring all the problems that these people have that she could not solve, which are government-based problems, and solve it. That kind of a thing. So I'm very humbled by the way my mother looks at it, and I think for me the most important thing is to see my mother happy, that I deliver on her vision for the Whaley constituency. She wants Whaley constituency to be made better. She wants people, the youngsters, to have a better life, a better opportunity. She wants people like me to stay in the Whaley constituency longer, because we stay in the city because of school and all. So she wants Whaley to be developed where people from in around that area, work for Whaley itself. They have a better opportunity. The idea of angel touch in my manifesto comes from my mother's experience of telling me the aged people in the constituency and how their children live abroad, and nobody's there to take care of them. Maybe we can do something for them. So a lot of the ideas is driven by what my mom thinks is necessary for Whaley, and nobody better than her who understands the vibes of the people, because she meets them across age groups.
You're talking of the religion, which has been, a burning issue since I think 2014. It became, people started coming out and talking about it. And one of the things is, of course, about the conversion. Goa has been at the helm of it, and you, as a unique combination, you talk about Bharat Mata, you talk about Hinduism, you talk about Christianity. So you you are like a blend of both. I have seen you talking Festival of Bharat about Hinduism, scriptures, and all of that. Now, is that also because of the mix that this population represents? I mean, the Valley represents Hindu population, Christian population, that BJP decided to field a fresh face who can probably bring a balance in this? And what is your view on the entire thing about conversion? You being a Christian yourself, And how do you see that? How do you
That's a very
take it
good.
forward?
That's a very good question, Sujata. Um, I'll tell you what my mother taught me. My mother taught me first that I'm a human. Second, I'm an Indian. And third, I'm a Christian. In that order. So we were always uh, taught to value humanity above all. If I asked for my mother, and because sometimes in Goa, caste politics plays a lot of, caste is something that's spoken about subtly, but it's very evidently there. So I've always asked my mother when somebody asked me, what's your caste, what's my caste, and she said, for 35 years of your life, you've never asked me what's your caste. Now, why suddenly, now that you've come to Goa, you're asking me your caste? So I said, because people are asking me, what is my caste? She said, your caste is Indian. Tell them that. Your caste is humanity. We don't believe in caste, and we never had any caste teachings in our family. So when I look at the numbers of Christians and Hindus, okay, I follow the Christian faith on only 2 commandments. That is, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Okay. Everything else to me is something that is institutionalized by the Catholic Church, and I choose to follow what I think is right, and I choose to follow what I don't follow what I think is not right. Okay. So when you look at that very principle of loving God with all your heart and loving your neighbor as yourself, what is a manifestation of God? Nobody's seen God. Nobody knows what God is all about. A manifestation of God are the very creations that God has. So your parents, your family, your friends, even your people who are not known to you, the creation itself, the humanity itself is a manifestation. You love yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. The first aspect of it is to love yourself. So I'm born in Bailey. I come from Goa. I should love that aspect of myself. I should appreciate there is a purpose why I've come there.
So are you against conversion, or you do not accept? Are you against conversion? Okay.
I don't believe in the concept of conversion. I don't believe that you can tell anybody that your God is better than my God. I don't believe in that.
But if someone willingly adopts a religion, because that
Constitution,
constitution,
by choice, if that person is doing it out of choice, he's actually felt a part of that religion, and he chooses to then convert, then there is no person in this world that can change his mind. There's absolutely no person. But what I definitely don't believe on conversions is forced and allurement-based conversions. An affair of the heart, like love, you can't change.
Right.
Today, if a girl chooses to like a boy from a different community or a different religion, no matter what anybody does, that love will still exist. Whether it's right or wrong in your eyes is irrelevant. In their eyes, it is right. Okay. So I think, one thing, Sujata, which I personally believe, and what I stay away from, is I believe that religion is the root cause of conflict around the world. Okay, that's the way I see it. And when I say religion is the root cause of conflict around the world, not religion in the faith, but the interpretation of that faith by various different people is the root cause of conflict around the world. So I try to stay away from it. When I say I believe in Sanatan Dharma essentially is the cultural aspects of my roots. Now, I can't deny the fact that I come from Hindu roots, right? Whatever be the reasons for conversion that would have happened in Goa, whether through force, whether through torture, whether through allurements, or whether through choice, I don't know who made the decisions for my family hundreds of years ago. And I can't hold them responsible for the decisions that they made, right? If I have decided, if I've been born in a Christian faith and I adapt the thought process of the Christian faith, which is which I have seen to be more comforting to me, it is through my Christian faith that I've understood the Sanatan Dharma, the value of respecting other people. So I think these religious boundaries that religious institutions put on us, whether it's the Catholic Church, whether it's the Islamic one, whether it's in certain Hindu boundaries as well that some are putting now, they are only diluting what essentially is the purpose of God. Because God cannot be bottled into a dogma. God cannot be bottled into an institution. God cannot be bottled into what you think God is. Because God is exactly the same person. It's like, let's look at a tragedy, okay? If people say, oh, God was there for the good people, stay good, and nothing bad will happen to you. In a tragedy that might happen, like say COVID, for example. Good people and bad people all got COVID and died. Rich and poor all got COVID, and some of them died, and some of them survived. So God cannot be bottled. It's an energy of positivity, an energy of good. Unfortunately for us and around the world, the major cause of conflict has always been religion, and I stay away from that.
So would you like, on the lines of Karnataka government and Madhya Pradesh government or BJP, would you also support anti-conversion bills in Goa, suppose you get to power? Would you raise your voice?
Okay, firstly, the one I don't know about the Madhya Pradesh, but the one in Karnataka was a religious freedom bill. It was touted as an anti-conversion bill. If you read that bill more clearly, you will realize that it does not target a particular religion. It's a generalized aspect of all religions.
Yes.
For example, right? Now, I have very, very openly professed my beliefs in Sanatana Dharma. I have visited temples myself. I visit the Siddhi Vinayak whenever I go to Bombay. And I have a routine. So I visit the Siddhi Vinayak, I go to Mount Mary's, and then I go and give food at the Mahim Dargah to the people that sit out. That doesn't make me somebody who's accepting all the religions. It makes me somebody who's respecting all the religions. Because I share a connect with people. I share a connect with their faith. So when people talk about an anti-conversion bill, firstly, that is wrong. The bill is religious freedom. Well, certain sections of the Hindu zealots or people who want to propagate the Hindu faith come and tell me, since you believe in Sanatana Dharma a lot, you should do a Ghar Wapsi. I find that to be very amusing, because Ghar Wapsi can happen only when somebody's outside the house. No, I'm in my home. Bharat is my home, right? So what Ghar Wapsi am I supposed to do? So if you're asking me to do a Ghar Wapsi based on my religion, you can forget it. Where my Christian faith isn't going anywhere. My religion does not define my nationalism. It should never define. When people ask me, okay, do you believe in the concept of the Hindu Rashtra? I said, of course I believe in the concept of the Hindu Rashtra. But what is Hindu Rashtra? If not the cultural acceptance of what we are. It is not the religious acceptance. So today, if I want to teach my children Vedic sciences, if I want to tell them about the history that may not have been recorded, what is wrong in that? Are we going away from the truth? The truth is that we were this. If my village today was a part of Vedic beliefs or Hindu beliefs, and for some reason they were converted, does that change the fact that we came from Vedic and Hindu beliefs? No. So how can you forget what your history stands for? Your roots come from your history, your ability to understand that and then channelize the positivity of that. You see, the problem is people want to live in the past and drive negativity. I'm saying, look at the past and learn so that you can work positively. Why be negative about it? Because people living today are not responsible for the mistakes of the past. How can you hold somebody today responsible for a mistake of the past? Like when people say, okay, Christians are rice bags and rice bags the words. I disagree with that. Because a person that has converted before, for reasons best known to him, none of us are privy to. And today when people talk about conversion, there is another aspect to conversion that people never look at. That why have they gone to the marginalized in society? Most of the conversions are happening at the marginalized level. Right. It is the problem is today when you have 110 church organizations, and these organizations are basically the evangelical organizations. Their whole aim is to do something like church planting. They want to put over 1 lakh of churches in India in a year, structural churches, churches within a home. Why? Because they think they're reaching out to the marginalized. My argument or discussion with them is, do you need them to convert to be able to help them come out of their marginalization?
Right.
We are bringing education, we are bringing healthcare, we are bringing jobs because they are marginalized. My question to them and my discussion with them has always been, do they need to convert their religion for you to do good work for them? If you have to convert their religion.
I hope you would talk about all this when opportunity, the right time comes in, because that's been one
I
issue.
talk about it all the time.
Yeah, because the politicians generally we've seen, they shield away from it because they know the vote bank, is much more important to them to remain in power than the real issues. And that's probably one of the things that I would really think is that the history of Goa must be known to all.
Sujata, the truth is, I come from a value-based system. That value-based system is intrinsically driven by my Christian faith and my Sanatan Dharma principles. Okay. I don't want to position myself as a politician in the sense of the descriptions of politicians that exist in India. I'm not saying they're bad, but there is always a question mark against the value systems of politicians. Okay. People have that frown on their face when you say politician, they'll have a question mark. I'm not trying to change them, neither am I trying to be like them. Just like I was in my journalism, I always created my own mark because I thought differently. It's the same thing in politicians. You want to vote for me because you believe in me and the values I stand for. If you think I'm a Christian, that's why you will vote for me, don't vote for me. If you think I will support the Hindus because I believe in Sanatan Dharma, and because of that, I will listen to everything that might not be something that I will accept, don't vote for me. If you think I will support the Muslims and then tolerate every jihadi activity that's happened in the world, don't vote for me. But if you believe that I'm an Indian, then please vote, because the only holy book that matters to me, honestly, in the role of a social reformer, role of a politician now, and as a journalist, has always been the Constitution of India. I see you as a citizen of my country, and I will be with you as a citizen of my country. So if you're a Christian with a problem, like I told some of the community members when they wanted to take the issue of the religious freedom bill, I said the manner in which you're going is absolutely wrong. There are ways in which we can address this. By creating a fear psychosis amongst the Christian community is not the way forward. By telling Christians they are in danger in India is nothing but polarizing propaganda. And in polarizing propaganda, it is the Christian itself who loses, because the Christians are leaving and choosing to opt for other countries like Portugal, especially from out of Goa. They want Portuguese passports. You are putting the fear in them. A Christian is as much a citizen in India as a Hindu or a Muslim or a Sikh.
That's right.
There are laws to deal with things that you don't agree with. But by saying Christians are in danger in India, you are only further fueling the polarization and the propaganda, and that's wrong. You have no right to do that. No, in fact, get the Christian to believe. Nation building. How much has the church put forward people from a leadership point of view in politics that are working towards nation building? Today, we don't have a Catholic or a Christian in the parliament that's got any larger value. There are very few numbers. How do you have representation, Sujata? So by the fear psychosis, you're not doing any good. That's what I explained to them. I said, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Pray from the Christian faith. I'm not against the Christian faith. I'm against the wrong of the institution. An institution's responsibility is to repose hope and faith in an individual, not fear. As long as you put fear in the mind of the Christian, he will always see the Hindu as an enemy there. And that's not something that is going to work well for the country. It's the same thing I tell the Hindu leaders as well. By targeting every Christian, saying that he's converting, you're wrong. A Christian's job is not to convert people. An average Christian in India is not working to convert people. An average Indian in India is looking at providing for the welfare of his family, and that's across all religions. So if polarization has to happen, polarization will only defeat the people of this country, and we don't need that.
Well said, sir. Well said. I hope the better wisdom prevails and people listen and see through all this propaganda, because at the helm of it lies the division, lies the polarization, which benefits not the common man, but the people who are doing it. So I hope people see through it.
But then that's why Goa is important, Sujata, not when people understand, the uniqueness of the Goan social fabric, as you would term it, is that if I put a guy to stand in front of you and you don't know his name and you're meeting him for the first time, and I dress him up in the normal Goan attire, you will not be able to tell me whether he's a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian. That is the social fabric of Goa. Because we've lived in communal harmony for a very long time. And we will continue to live. Communal discord, religious discord in Goa will not survive. It will never happen. People will never vote. People will never accept. We have lived in communal harmony. What is important for us to understand as a nation, and I know a lot of people agree with what I say and some people might disagree. I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to just tell you what I think is right or wrong. In the interest of the country, in the interest of the political party, in the interest of us as Indians. We have to live together. What we are doing today, or what we are attempting to do from all sides, okay, is tell the country that you are branded based on your religious belief, your political beliefs, and that's not going to augur well for the country in the long run. What the country needs to believe is that we all have to work together unitedly and as nationalists. I'm certainly a nationalist. When I mean a nationalist, I mean Christians too can contribute and have contributed to nation building. We just don't talk about it, right? That's really how it is. And to me, that's what matters. So today, people say, will you keep quiet for certain activities where they would, like some of the Christian leaders have said, there have been attacks against the churches and certain people. I said, if you can prove that to me legitimately, legally, that these are the things that have happened, let us first isolate the problems, let us understand the problems, and then let's take it to the right authorities to address the problem. But you are wrong with, let's say there are 100 cases, okay? 100, 200 cases that may have happened. We have to identify and understand each of the cases individually, and then take it to the appropriate authorities to find an answer or justice to it, and to the authorities within the government. Realize that out of 100, 200 cases, 2 crore population are in danger is not fair. It's like me saying that if Father Lawrence Johnson, who has been charged with, who's been sentenced to life imprisonment for sodomizing a 12-year-old boy in Bombay, is a Catholic priest, by virtue of that all Catholic priests are pedophiles, is a wrong generalization.
Yes.
So each case has to be isolated. I'm not saying there are no skirmishes. Of course there would be. Skirmishes are happening all around the world with regards to religion. India is no different. So you will have conflicts that will happen between Hindus and Christians, Hindus and Muslims. But that is not the generalization of the social fabric of India. No, I'm not willing to believe that a Hindu, a Muslim and a Christian in India are out there with swords wanting to kill each other. I'm sorry, I don't believe
No. An average citizen in India is much secular than we think. You ask anybody, the carpenter that comes to your house is probably a Muslim. The school that you go and study is probably a Catholic school. You come and you are a Hindu, and then you also visit gurudwaras on Sundays. So an average Indian is very, very secular, and more secular than we can even imagine. And they, by the way, it's our perception in the media with the people, of politics, political intent. They think that, oh, really the ground up people had the division has happened. Trust me, it's not happened, because we've been living like this forever. We have seen our fathers living like that. We've seen our grandfathers living like that. We've seen all our friends. The friends are a mixture of everything, and we never differentiate based on, oh, you're a Christian, you can't be my friend. You're a Muslim, I can't eat your lunch. That has never happened. That will never happen too. So wonderful talking
That's
to you,
precisely what
Samuel. Yeah, wonderful.
That's precisely what I'm saying, Sujata.
Yes, yes.
The social fabric of India is intact.
Yes.
Contrary to the media hype by certain sections of the Western media, yes. Contrary to this exaggeration of incidents, conflicts rather, that are conflicts that could happen all over the world. Yes. The fact is that an average Indian thinks not from the eyes of religion. He thinks only through the eyes of humanity. When, I've been a part of the Bombay, the floods when it happened in Bombay, and people were walking. I was in Nariman Point at that time, and I was walking all the way to my home in Andheri, and there were people on the road, people from different religions coming out with biscuits, with water, and the water was receding. You think that humanitarian person at that point of time is looking at you on the eyes of religion or caste? Absolutely not. So this rubbish that goes on in this country.
Even COVID, like I was part of this.
Even COVID, exactly.
Nobody even asked that, what's your religion, what's your name? We just thought, oh, you need oxygen, you need medicine, you need beds, let me do whatever best I can do. Nobody even bothered to call and check, oh, you didn't thank me later and things like that. Nobody bothered, because it was all about humanity and not about the religion at all. Yeah, I agree.
Sujata, having traveled to many parts of the world, having lived in the Middle East for a long time, there's one quality very intrinsic to India. Okay, intrinsic. You will find it everywhere. It's not only Goa. It will still find it, and that is humanity. Inside most Indians, you will find humanity. A lot of, if you go to the Western side of the world, you will find that there is an element of what will I get out of it? There's an element of materialism when they are kind to you. In most cases in India, and I've traveled to various parts of India, I can tell you the base of every Indian, the true Indian, is humanity. They will be kind to you. Like, if I remember one time when I lost my wallet, and I was traveling in one part and I lost my wallet. I didn't have money to come go to the hotel. So I told the rickshaw guy, listen, I think my wallet, I can't find it. I must have lost it. Can you drop me? I'll figure out a way to give you money. There'll be somebody at the hotel that is there. So he didn't think twice. He said, okay, sir, he'll take me. So I'm saying that's the humanitarian thing, and they do it across. That you won't find in the Western world. And that is what we should not allow to be corrupted.
True. I think that.
So am I a politician? Sujata, I'm not. Okay. At least the politician that people see or think of people as a politician. I'm just going to do what I think is right based on my value system. I'm sure that the BJP will support them.
Yeah, of course. You know what, Sadhu? I mean, this entire thinking that a politician needs to be corrupt, needs to not talk about things that matter, or need to stand for the nation first and later on for the vote shares and vote bank, I think it's going to die very soon, because the demographics are changing, the psychographics are changing, and remember, we are the youngest population in the world. So when the young people become the majority voter, they are not going to be like, I'm sorry to say, but our forefathers who looked for, mera caste kya hai, jati kya hai, I'm a Brahmin, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm this, I'm a Christian and all that. So I think we'll be less polarized because we have better access to information. We know that when we travel outside, nobody bothers about you're a Hindu or you meet someone outside in Europe. Oh, you're from India. You don't ask you're a Hindu or you're a Muslim or whatever. The feeling that is for the country.
Absolutely.
So I think that nobody today, the kind of social relationships, the fabric that we live in, the friends that we make. I think religion has got it's accepted that religion is what you have grown up with, you are comfortable with,
Correct.
and nobody's there to snatch it away from you. I think that's what the new India is going to be like, and it's great to see someone like you propagating that thought and going with that idea. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Savir. May the force
Thank you,
be
Sujata.
with
It's a
you,
pleasure.
and may you win. And even if I see a new Goa, I would want to see a new Goa through you, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Sujata, if I don't stay true to the values that my mother gave me, my mother has a cane at home, which she never used till now.
Okay.
So if I falter, she might probably use that cane. So I have to stay straight. I have no other option.
that's a
She's
great.
never used a cane in 45 years of my life. But if I falter and I get any grief because of going against the value system, that cane will. So I'm not a guy who likes to get beaten up by my mother.
That's lovely, and it's so rare to see someone still getting scared by the cane. That mom is running behind saying that, oh, you didn't do what I expected you to do. Okay.
I'll tell you the weird thing. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and my mom called. We were sitting in the restaurant, a cafe coffee. Like, yes, mommy, no, mommy, yes, mommy, no, mommy. So this guy got shocked. He says, "You talk to your mother so softly and nicely." I said, "Why is that unusual, my friend? Are you yelling at your mother at this age? What's wrong with you?"
True.
And I was amazed. He thought it was unusual that I was talking so softly. Yes, mommy, no, mommy, I'll do it, mommy. Don't worry, mommy. I'm eating well, mommy. That kind of thing. I know what was wrong with him. And I said, since when did raising your voice against your mother or your parents become a prerequisite? I think our value system is about I am afraid of my mother's falling in her eyes. I definitely like to see my father appreciate what I do. Okay. And I will never raise my voice against my parents. And that is why when I say I will not sway, because I know my mother's cane is there. So I have to be aware of it.
Oh, lovely.
I don't think you ever grow up. A child is always going to be a child in front of us.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And I can say that she's fortunate to have a son.
And today is a birthday, by the way.
Oh, please wish her.
Today
Wish
is my
her from
mother's
my
birthday.
side. Is she there? Is she around?
No, she's not there. She stays at. I'm at the city right now. I'm going to the village in
Please convey my regards to her and tell her that she has given amazing.
Thank you so much,
teachings to her son. I wish every mother becomes like her, and every son is so caring like you. So thank you so much, Savio. Have a great day, and I have an absolute pleasure. We'll connect later too.
Sure.